Good morning, everyone. So, this is going to be episode 4 of the Four Musketeers podcast, our final and last episode. Today we have here
Jean Piaget, a
Don
Swiss
Piaget.
psychologist.
He's a local psychologist in our area, had to get him on, ask him some opinions, some questions. So, before we start off with anything, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a psychologist, of course. I studied how children think and develop over time. Yeah.
It's very nice to hear, there's a lot of studies on that. It's always good to have people on these topics. So, as we start off, we're going to go through some questions, I just answer, the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start off here. In your case scenario, what in your background allowed you to be here today?
I think me just learning about how children develop and how their brains process different things as they grow, I think it's really important, and not just like for them to get their education and how some can't get it as fast as the others could. And yeah.
So let me ask a follow-up to that. Obviously the people at home want to know, what intrigued you specifically about the kid aspect? Why not, high schoolers, kids in college, elderly? What exactly allowed you, or
Because
made you want to?
that's where their education starts when they're young. How they go to pre-K, elementary to middle school. I can't just go all the way to high school. And then that's when their brain is developing, when they're starting to get into pre-K, elementary.
So what you're saying is the root of elderly and older people's education is what they learn when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
But there's more things you can learn as you're getting older.
Don't pick up the phone. Yo, pause it. Yeah. So I have a follow-up question. To all this. What is your main goal with learning this? What does it allow you to do? Like, I understand obviously you can learn something, but what are you planning to take into consideration as a next step with all this info?
Well, just shaping modern education to focus on how children think and learn, so they can have a better education instead of just coming to school and not focusing on what they have to learn, and just helping them for when they get to the higher levels, like high school, college, pretty much.
That's good. So let's see. You have a great idea, a great starting point that we all, at home appreciate. Let's ask this. The viewers are dying to know, what impact and legacy do you want to have, or have you already left on this field?
I want to go down as being one of the best, I am one of the best psychologists, or philosophers, I meant to say. And I think going down as one of the best, I want to go down as one of the best philosophers, and for students to have the four stages of education. I think that's really important on how their brain grows and they develop.
Can you give me a summary, of all 4 stages?
4 stages.
And
Well,
how I may be able to use those, and let's say teaching my kids or whoever.
Well, the sensor motor, that's from birth to ages 2, and
What does
then
that
that's
entail?
basically like the actions, or they get their senses, like touching stuff and like moving around and stuff. And then we go to pre-operational from 2 to 7. That's like imagining things. You know how you were a kid and you just started imagining like what you wanted to do, or like how to, like, you were playing games, imagining being with your friends and stuff. And then concrete operational, that's from 7 to 11. That's basically logical and being like organizing your things, and just like pretty much. And then last but not least, formal operational, 12 up. That's basically like years abstract. It's pretty much the 4 different stages, developing stages.
And what do you think the relevance is at today with new technologies, new ideologies, and values being put on kids?
I think there's pros and cons to it. I think technology can help, because you know how like some kids get stuck to their tablet and don't get off, but some also like use it to take in information. But I also think that's where the parents come in, where if they should time how much their children can be on the tablet and stuff. But I also think that if they set them a time to actually learn something and like also have fun on the tablet, I think it'll help. It'll be beneficial for them. That's about it.
So, since you started, your philosophy career, have you made any institutions, any learning programs or anything?
No, but I think I should. I should make one because I think it'll help. Since it's from me myself, I think it'll help. I think it'll help them, and there's gonna be like a good base to it, a good structure, and I just need good people formed around it to push the things I preach. And
so, follow up to that, what do you think would make your institutions different from a different institution? What, obviously, you have your philosophy values, but what aspects of the actual, how do I say it, work environment would you make different?
I think the way I think is like outside the box, because I think for the students to start from a young age for learning education, I think it's good for them because they not only have time for the future, but I think they can soak in more information and education to develop their brains faster. For when they get to a higher level, they can be prepared.
Yeah. So would you do this in kind of like in a experimental format? Like would it be something more hands-on or something more, how do I say, like verbal, or even something handwritten, something that they're showing up every day and learning paper on? How would you go about this?
I think it would be both because it would be the best of both worlds.
I said 3.
What was it?
It was experimental, verbal, or writing.
I think experimental, mostly because they can experiment, and when they fail, they can learn to get back up and keep doing more, and not just giving up. And because I think that's one thing that students today are not really strong at. But I think if I can get that down and help them with it, I think they can thrive.
Some good. So you talked about the different phases and age ranges. Is there a possibility that you could be wrong in the sense of if you have an 8th grader or an 8-year-old that acts like a 12-year-old?
That's just a rough estimate. I think any child develops, their brain develops at different times, different stages throughout the 4 stages, and I think it could be maybe, for example, instead of great question. I think that I wouldn't want them to rush it. I think I would want them to go through the stages slowly, taking their time, and I think it depends on how they absorb the knowledge and education, and how fast they might get it, pretty much it.
My bad, I got a TikTok notification. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last and final episode of the 4 Musketeers podcast, and we'll see you later.
What are you doing?